irony it is that a game called Unreliable Wizard is in fact precisely calibrated to deliver the exact same experience every time you open the box. Tedium. I wanted this game to be not boring. Unreliable Wizard, I live for that title. Back the crowdfunding campaign, rulebook unseen, because my gosh, what a title, what self-expression. Get in the bin, Hemingway. Here's a short story in 2 words. And I take no joy in saying this. I absolutely have no desire to trash a little board game that couldn't, but Unreliable Wizard should have remained just that, a title. The gist is that you are the unreliable wizard. I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? You travel across a map composed out of cards, trying to reach the end and defeat the boss and rescue the princess. If you die along the way, you lose. The way you don't die is by getting better at casting spells that do more damage. There are 8 other monsters on the map, and if you defeat them, you'll get a reward, either a companion that increases your damage or more spell components that lets you cast more complex spells. The problem is that fighting these monsters will reduce your health, and also traveling on the map reduces your health. So maybe that's where the game lies, in clever selection of what terrain you will travel on and what monsters you will face. Dear viewer, absolve yourself of such notions, because none of these decisions exist. The simple gist of Unreliable Wizard is that you just do everything that you can, and whether you succeed or fail largely depends on what cards you draw when. Each time you do face a monster, you won't know what monster you will face or what reward lies underneath. Haha, you might say, your information, it's unreliable. No, it's not unreliable, because for something to be unreliable, it first needs to be. When you encounter a monster, you immediately fight it, reduce its health to 0, and you win. Each combat round, you are allowed to compose your spellbook from any spell component cards you possess. Then decide on a number of cards to draw, which can be any amount you like, up to 4, and as long as 1 card remains undrawn. And then simply draw that many cards. Each card you draw is a dip into the forbidden arcane laws, or in rules terms, 1 damage to you. However, if you found more advanced spell components, these might combine with the basic ones for bigger blasts of energy. Including the advanced spells into the pool of cards you draw from is a risky proposition. If you draw them, but nothing to actually combine them with, then they do nothing. To round out this roulette of unreliable spells is the second grimoire, which you might find as a reward for defeating a monster that expands your spell repertoire to ridiculous blasts, once again, if you draw the right cards. Again, this feels like a setup for decisions. Not only do you get to choose which cards you draw from, but also how many. And after all, each dip into chance is a precious health that dwindles so reliably. Each monster also has resistances to certain color spells, and what terrain you encounter the monster in also affects its defenses. Finally, your companions will also increase the damage of certain color spells on top of whatever ability they offer, leading you to specialize in different runs with different colors. The promise of that is so rarely delivered in gameplay that I wouldn't be particularly wrong if I said those decisions just don't come up at all, and you jam in every card you can, draw as much as you're allowed, and hope for the best. Sometimes red spells will obviously be bad, no matter how you slice it, so you just don't put the red cards in. That is technically a decision, as much as it is a decision to eat when you're hungry and there's food in the fridge. It is solitaire automatic. And by solitaire, I mean the card game, not solo games, you know what I mean. The map you travel on is perhaps the biggest letdown. It is the same exact map every time you play. Each terrain costs progressively more health to travel, whereas some locations give you a once per game heal boost. But the puzzle is identical, and some spaces are even superfluous. This hex, it has no reason to exist. There is no tactical decision you can make in this game that would give you a reason to go there. Why does it exist? Who knows? But what I do know is that you can reliably draw the most sensible path and follow it each time you play. This monotony can be broken up by companions. When you defeat a monster, you'll get some health back and also sometimes get spells as rewards. Other times, companions. Each companion increases damage in one spell color or another, but that depends on which side you select when you obtain them. The different sides also have different permanent abilities, such as a health discount on certain types of terrain or extra damage to certain kinds of monsters. In fact, the difficulty of any given play is largely determined by what companions you draw when. If you fish out the princess that gives you a discount of 2 health on card draws in combat in your starting setup, congrats! You've already won the game. Whereas, if you find her just before the final battle, it's not that she's not useful. It's that most of her potential has already evaporated away together with any sense of tension, which is where you might say, but companions have 2 abilities, just use the different side. And my answer to that is yes. Automatic decisions. And thus you trundle through the same map, fighting the same monsters, getting the same rewards, drawing the same cards, casting unreliable spells. Will it do enough damage? Not this time, the monster will strike back. Let's try again. On and on it goes. And it's such a shame too, because aesthetically and conceptually, this is such an appealing proposition. I already said I love the title, but there's something to be said about how cute and dorky the 8-bit art looks. It's minimalist, gets to the chase with charm and style, and carries the tone well. There's a little select arrow above the wizard. I want to like this. It looks so good. It's a great package, a brilliant little product. I wanted the game to match that. The issue isn't that this is a wizard on rails. I mean, no, that is an issue, but the actual issue is how binary the results are. Every time you fight a monster, you either succeed or fail with some semi-convoluted card draws. If the wizard is indeed unreliable, I want it to cast a fireball in its own face, summon some sort of an interdimensional demon, turn the paladin's sword into a ladle, shower the continent in confetti. Now it will consistently and reliably do X number of damage every turn, where X is a random card draw. But, okay, there's no redeeming this game, even with an expansion, but I wanted to showcase what makes an interesting solo-only game and give you some examples of games that succeeded in the past, including one by the same publisher as Unreliable Wizard. A solo game has no opponents, so how does a player win if they have no one to compete against? The less elegant solutions are to introduce an AI opponent or score attack, but the most clean way to do this is to create a binary win-lose system, and to create tension in that environment, you need to include a randomizer, such as card draws or dice rolls. If you didn't include a randomizer, you did not design a solo game, you designed a solvable puzzle. Often randomizers determine whether you succeed or fail. Roll a die, did you get the right number? Please proceed forward. Not you though, you rolled a 2. So now we arrive precisely at where Unreliable Wizard stands, but the real challenge of designing a randomizer is for the results of that randomizer to produce choices. The luck isn't an issue, it's a matter of being able to do something with that luck. Let me show you a game that does this very well. Witchcraft is an absolutely agonizing puzzle. A deck builder that asks you to send your witches to missions of do-goodery to convert the local townsfolk into favorable jury members in an upcoming witch trial. Each of these missions features a difficulty, but also a bunch of obstacles that you cannot see until you commit to doing that mission. These obstacles offer hindrances, such as gaining an extra duff card in your deck, which doesn't do anything and is annoying, or benefits, like recruiting an extra witch into your deck. The problem is that all of these cards also have a difficulty number, so you have to decide how much you're going to commit to the mission, to the obstacles that you want to overcome, and to the benefits that you want to get. In addition to that, your witches themselves are a delight of various powers and abilities. However, when you select a witch to send to a mission, you have to decide whether you're going to send her on her hidden or revealed side. Revealed witches have much stronger abilities, but are permanently removed from your deck as soon as you play them, which is a squirm-inducing decision, not just because missions only get harder and every witch matters, but also because witches play off of each other. Encountering a mission that's harder than anticipated asks you to sacrifice potential boons for future missions in exchange for breaking up really powerful combos. Thus, you have a randomizer, in this case deck building and card draws, but failing to draw the right numbers isn't the end all and be all. The question is what you can extract from that failure. It's the difference between putting a coin in a slot machine and feeling numb and an all-out organized casino heist. No play of witchcraft feels the same. In part, that's because there's so much variability in what your deck will look like, in what missions you'll have to face, what jurors you'll have to convince, but mostly it's because no decision feels alike. It's always a different conundrum, and that makes for a truly exceptional experience. But what if it's not the same puzzle every time? Solo games are enriched when they have multiple scenarios. Witchcraft does this with its campaign mode, but so do other solo-only games, like One Deck Galaxy, a game we've reviewed in the past and the link is in the description. It lets you compose your character by combining your homeworld with your society, with 5 of each included in the box. There's also 5 different adversaries and multiple difficulty levels. This modularity isn't a panacea and it won't make a bad game amazing, but it does let you tailor different strategies towards different challenges by adding multiple spaces to explore, and a difficulty adjustment might reveal new depths that weren't evident in previous less demanding plays. Finally, a solo game can make randomizers tremendously more interesting by strategically choosing which information to reveal and which information to keep hidden. In Unreliable Wizard, both the monsters and the rewards are hidden, meaning you probably want to visit all of them in a given play to ensure you find the right components for whatever build you're going for. Whereas, say, if either the monsters or the rewards were visible, you might be forced to make more strategic choices in terms of which monsters you'll fight or how you'll travel across the map. A game that does this excellently is Marquis, a harrowing tale of French resistance soldiers gathering supplies and completing missions in an occupied village. Each turn, you will send one of your fighters to any of the locations in the village to gather food, medicine, supplies, guns, things needed for the resistance. However, after you do that, you have to draw a patrol card which tells you where to place a guard. If guards ever surround the escape route and corner your fighter, it is permanently lost. Thus, each dip is an agonizing roll of a roulette of death. You can play it safe by tracing a line of fighters who'll create a safe passage back, but then you are not achieving enough with your placements because some locations are just duds. But fear not, for pushing your luck is far from arbitrary. The deck that reveals guard locations has odds and probabilities that you can learn, especially if you print out this fan-made player aid from BGG, adding layers and layers of information simply by choosing to make the discard pile of this deck open information. Marquis has all the other bells and whistles, like multiple mission cards that basically let you craft custom scenarios and modify their difficulty, and variability by letting you build special buildings in the middle of the board, like this safe house that is basically a second location my fighters can return to. Haha, guards! Take that, can't catch me. Unreliable Wizard is such a shame, especially with an expansion that increased variability and difficulty but failed to make that variability produce meaningful choices. It is okay for a little box where you just sit with it and waste some time, because we all need that sometimes, but there's just better games to spend your time with. See you soon.